Konnichiwa, YouStormer. It's the 10th of January 2024. We've got a lot going on. A big snowstorm in North America. Potential snow for the United Kingdom next week, late next week. And a tropical cyclone potentially developing off the eastern coast of Africa. Lots more. Let's get started. Let's take a look at this system hammering the eastern side of North America. You can see it's now tucking up into eastern Canada, bringing heavy snow into certain regions, probably more mild area into Nova Scotia. You can also see a lot of mountain waves coming off the Appalachians as the wind swings around to the west on the western side of the system. Here are the snow totals predicted from the European Centre model for the next 12 hours, and the high point is in central to western Maine with over 40 centimeters of snow. As we go forward, look at the next 24 hours, see the snow as that system moves north, spreading off into Canada, where we've also got values in the 20 to 40 centimeter range. So widespread, very severe, disruptive snow in particularly northern and northwestern Maine, tucking into Vermont and also into New Brunswick. Here's a closer look at those mountain waves, and it looks like the best place to see them would be Virginia or Washington into Maryland. If you are in any of these states and you get some pictures of this, please join our Discord and post your pictures. We'd love to see them. Jumping back a bit to the 28th of December, we had an eruption at the volcano of Santiaguito. Prepare for some bad pronunciation here. I cannot pronounce this place, which is to the north, Quetzaltenango, but apparently there was ash deposition here, and I checked the satellite and you can actually see the eruption plumes on this day going up and over the city. The ash was actually the day before, but it was a bit more cloudy, so you couldn't see the eruption. But it continued on the 28th. Let's move over to Europe, and starting off with where I was. Well, we did actually finally get a little bit of snow that came into southeast England. I got the drone up briefly, and we had a dusting on the top of the South Downs. Earlier in the day we had pellets, and then it turned to snow as the day progressed. This was 2 days ago. And you could actually see the snow cover, the places where it actually covered in the Terra Modis from the next morning. Unfortunately, it's now almost entirely melted, but it is still very icy. But as we go forward, we've got interesting things in store. The cold blast also struck Paris, where it became insanely dangerous in icy conditions on the roads. Many accidents, and documented in a thread by Kevin Flowery on Twitter. Definitely recommend checking this out. Earlier, and to follow up from what I mentioned in the previous video about the surging Mistral, well, I did check the satellite imagery, and you can actually see the whitecaps of the waves from the sharp western edge of a surging Mistral from a few days ago from the previous global storm outlook, in a strong northerly wind surging off northeastern Spain and southern France into the western Mediterranean. Here are the surface temperatures for this evening and the forecast surface temperatures from the European Centre model. You can see the just a little bit above freezing in the UK, southern UK, but over in Paris and over in France it is -3, pretty cold. But over the rest of Europe, wow, so it is a cold snap across a lot of the continent. Let's see how things develop as we go forward. The reason for this is a high pressure system which is bringing down winds and blocking the westerly flow that usually keeps Western Europe very mild. But now we've got this northerly to easterly flow. It's very, very cold, very frosty, and relatively dry with some snow. But as we go forward, we've got the cold persisting, a little bit of warming in the UK, but the cold dips down into Spain even, and even Greece, looking really, really surprisingly cold, below freezing throughout a lot of Greece. Well, you could look at anything, I mean, there's a lot. But the thing is, I'm going to focus on is way out in the forecast. As always, we're going to be totally reckless and look at the far future forecast. And why are we doing this? Because I am concerned about the UK because that's where I really would like to see some heavy snow. And this is the 15th of January now, so we're looking 5 days ahead. And you can see the UK has got snow coming down the North Sea and lots of snow into Germany. But as we go forward, I'm going to go to the 16th of January. You begin to see a low pressure system bringing in rain from the southwest, and this is beginning to tuck in and hit the cold air. Now, the European Centre Model actually brings the mild air up across the country, and then you can see snowfall across the UK. These are heavy snowfall amounts, but it is a bit north from me, and we get into the rain down in the south. So I'm going to zoom in a bit on the UK, and you can see that the rain is covering the southern part of the country. So it's on the 17th of January we get the system moves in across the UK and France, and we get a very heavy snowfall on its northern flank. Now it's all about the positioning of where this moist air hits the cold air and produces the snowfall. And as we go forward, it then moves up the country. So somewhere along this boundary there's going to be a lot of snow, but where and at what position as we go through. It does last for some time throughout the whole day of the 17th in the European Centre Model. Now let's take a look at the GFS just to compare, because we're obviously looking a long way out here. But the Global Forecasting System model also has the moist air moving in on the 17th of January, hitting the cold air. Again, it's central to northern England, producing the heavy snowfall, and it's stuck there. That's why the concern would be there is it doesn't move through, and the mild air doesn't penetrate all the way through, but it instead sticks there and produces heavy snowfall. The totals are going to be interesting, because if we look at the next 10 days, all of that will be from this storm system. The GFS here produces 40 centimeters, and the European Centre Model I think is not too different, a bit less at 30 centimeters, but nonetheless this is for the UK debilitating levels of snowfall. So it's going to be very interesting to watch that. That will be mid-January, that's 17th of January. It's a long way out, but there is some consistency here in the models of the general scenario. Well, that's enough of the cold. Let's look at something altogether hotter and moister. This is the southwestern Indian Ocean, and there down here is Reunion Island and Mauritius and Madagascar, and these are the surface winds. And as we go forward, we're going to see a system developing in the European Centre Model here that comes down and really treks across Mauritius and Reunion and develops into a pretty solid tropical cyclone. And the thing is, it's not really moving very quickly as it moves through the islands. So the concern here would be that these islands, and well, particularly Reunion, is known for extreme rainfall. If a tropical cyclone becomes slow moving around the island, as it has these high mountains that then generates lots and lots of rain. So this is going to be quite interesting to watch. It's a long way out, but for shits and giggles, we can take a look at the rain accumulation, and as we go forward, we should see some pattern of the heavy rain associated with this storm as it develops. Let's go to the next 5 days, and here is the rain from the tropical system. If I put a little pinpoint in there, we're already up to 28 centimeters. The next 10 days will cover more of the storm, and you can see that even over the open ocean, we've got over half a meter of rain associated with this tropical cyclone as it moves through. So we'll keep an eye on it. Over in East Asia, China specifically, looking back at the 8th of January here from the Sentinel-2 satellite, we can see these lovely feathery clouds resting in the valleys in stable conditions just south of Langao, China. While further north over Russia, colder conditions with a sharp orographic cloud edge casting a shadow over the bitterly cold Primorskaya Krai. on the Sea of Japan coast. That was also on 8th of January. Another thing of interest, and we're down in the tropics now, to the island of Flores, Indonesia, particularly the southeastern part, where there is Mount Lewatobi, a volcano which has been erupting in recent weeks. Here it was seen on the 2nd of January by Himawari 9, with the plume being dragged westward over sections of the north coast, but it continues to erupt, and we have had red warnings, or some kind of warning, and sirens issued today. Meanwhile, let's not forget about our mates down under, because we've got the monsoon charging into the Northern Territory, into the far north of Western Australia and across into Queensland. Lots of heavy rain, but where will be the heaviest? Let's check out the model. If we look at the rain totals for the next 5 days, we can see a couple of hot spots here off near Darwin. We have got over approaching 40 centimeters of rainfall, and then also on the eastern coast of the Gulf of Carpentaria it is over 40 centimeters, so maybe that is the highest amount, but regardless, you can see it's quite an extensive pattern of very heavy rain and into our friends in Cairns. And on that note, I will wrap it up for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Hey, why not come join our Discord? It's super fun. You can share weather pictures and become a correspondent for your area. Also, please subscribe and like this video if you like this video, and let me know where you are located so I can provide you with a forecast for your area. See you in the next one.